I'm going to give you several tight ends that could help you win a league in 2023. These are top 10 potential players, some of them 6 to 10. Every year, a tight end from outside the top 10 creeps into the top 10. A lot of the time, there's a tight end outside the top 10 walking into fantasy football, and at the end of the year, they're inside the top 5. Your boy, according to Fantasy Pros, ranked number 1 in tight end rankings for 3 years on average. Started out with Hawkinson and Waller. Nobody ranked them higher than your boy right here. Nobody in the industry. We can identify sleepers here on the channel, and this man right here, Cole Kmet, I'm going to kick it all off with him, followed by a couple deeper names that could crack the top 10. The Fantasy Football Show Sleeper Tight End episode. It begins right now.
This is the Fantasy Football Show with your host, Smitty. Take a lap.
Cole Kmet is in the most ideal situation. Probably only Dalton Kincaid is in a better spot. He's a rookie and we don't know what his volume is going to be like. But a player like Cole Kmet catching footballs from a top 5 quarterback is a recipe that isn't just lingering out there to the tune of a tight end not drafted inside the top 10. Goddard is a top 10 tight end. Obviously, Kelsey is. Trevor Lawrence has Evan Ingram. As I said, Josh Allen's going to have Dalton Kincaid. No one is paying enough attention to Cole Kmet, who pulled in 544 yards and 7 touchdowns on 50 receptions last year in 17 games, where he was the only pass catching option by the end of the year available to Justin Fields. He was a focal point of defenses. Nobody was stretching the field. That means that Kmet was catching footballs in a congested area, more congested area than he will in 2023. With the presence of DJ Moore making Mooney more relevant again, stretching the field, Cole Kmet's going to have open receiving lanes different than he did last year. Cole Kmet is a trusted target of Justin Fields, probably the most trusted target on the roster. Even with DJ Moore there, chemistry's got to be built, some rapport. Kmet's the guy. Kmet is Fields' go-to guy. To have 7 touchdowns in the environment that I just described last year, congestion, focal point of defenses, Fields running around, extending plays, not able to even locate Kmet half the time. Everybody running a second route because Fields is on the run, and all the routes were run to exhaustion, and everybody's just trying to find another place on the field to try and catch the football. This was chaos in 2022. And a lot of people say things that are ridiculously ignorant, like Fields is a inaccurate quarterback. Fields won't get better or more accurate. Fields is a bad QB. He's not a good thrower. Fields will never be a good thrower. We heard the same thing about Jalen Hurts over and over and over again. Where are those people now? Where are all the Jalen Hurts haters and Jalen Hurts, he's not accurate people? They're nowhere to be found. Just like the Justin Fields haters won't be found anywhere at the conclusion of 2023. Fields had 9 interceptions. He didn't have a 15, 20 interception season. He scrambled around making what he could of what he had, trying to extend plays. Receivers weren't open. Only this guy was catching footballs. And Fields still only threw 11 INTs. Stop with the inaccuracy comments already. Fields is finding Kmet. He's going to find him early and often, and there's going to be space all around him. Give me 65 plus receptions easy. He could do a lot better than that. Give me 800, 850 receiving yards. Give me 8 to 10 touchdowns, 8 to 11 touchdowns out of Cole Kmet, and give me a top 10 tight end. This guy is a secret weapon. Cuff him to Fields in best ball. Cuff him to Fields in redraft. This is probably my favorite bigger name option that's falling out of the top 10 that I believe will be top 6 to 10 in fantasy football 2023, even capable of being top 5. As I said, every year a player shocks the fantasy football world outside of the top 10 rankings, comes in and plays like a top 5, 6 tight end. So if that feels unlikely to you, that's because it always feels unlikely when the player rises up and does what I'm saying. For me, Kmet is the guy. For me, Kmet is one of the safest tight ends you can draft in fantasy football 2023. Right now, Cole Kmet is ranking in at tight end 15 on fantasy football underdog ADP data. Number 15, below Dulcich, Dalton Schultz, Okonkwo, Kincaid, Pat Freiermuth, and Njoku. Now, a lot of these guys I do like. I like Waller. I like Ingram. I love Dalton Kincaid. We'll talk about him in a minute. But Cole Kmet can be easily your second tight end option, even if you wanted to go that route. You can draft a Darren Waller and a Cole Kmet if you wanted to, especially in best ball. ball and have a good rotational, optimal scoring situation going on. You can grab Evan Ingram and Cole Kmet. You don't even have to make Cole Kmet your number one tight end. You can make this, okay, I'm going to trade my number one tight end later if Cole Kmet works out. There's a lot of ways to approach Cole Kmet, and there's a lot of upside. Give me 65 receptions, 800 plus yards, and 8 to 11 touchdowns in 2023. Cole Kmet, you're Smitty approved.
You've just been Smitty approved.
Here's a guy we talk about every single year on the channel. And a lot of people cried and complained when our strategy worked out to our advantage when this guy got into the quarterback lineup as a tight end 2 years ago when we said to draft him as a tight end, as a backup tight end, and wait that he would be in the lineup as a quarterback and be a cheat code for everybody. And boy, was he a cheat code. And boy, did people lose it. A lot of unprepared Ungers out there got really mad. They complained. They wrote into ESPN. They tweeted ESPN, and ESPN folded like a chair, and they removed his tight end eligibility when he became a quarterback for the New Orleans Saints 2 years ago. People called us cheaters. People said we were circumventing the rules. This was on the table for everybody to know walking into the season, but people failed to understand the upside and logic behind taking Hill, being patient, and waiting with him on your bench. It's going to happen again. And I don't know what ESPN's going to do or other platforms with his eligibility, but in best ball, you draft him as a tight end, he stays in your lineup. And on Underdog Fantasy promo code Smitty, link in the description of every video, you can draft this man as your backup tight end, even your third tight end, and just wait. And just wait, because guess what? In best ball, nothing's getting taken away from you. In best ball, your optimal lineup gets set for you. So use this to your advantage. But for those of you out there in redraft land, don't be afraid to take this guy as your backup tight end and hope that he gets into the quarterback lineup one more time. He's lining up all over the field. This coaching staff in New Orleans has already said we're going to move him into the wide receiver position more often. He's going to be used all over the field. He's a weapon. And if something happens to Carr, they will certainly turn to him, if not on occasion, as he's still all over the field helping the offense feel dynamic and stay ahead of the game. He might rotate right in to the quarterback slot one more time, and people that have him in the tight end position are going to clean up for as long as the platforms allow it. No one's saying draft him as your number one tight end. No one's saying he can't earn that value really quickly, though. Again, he's lining up all over the field. This report should have you say to yourself, okay, this is a deja vu moment here from 2 years ago. They're excited about him. He may not work out right away. You have to be patient with him. But make no mistake about it, Taysom Hill has win-a-league potential if he gets into the quarterback position, if he becomes a quarterback while he's drafted as a tight end. Dalton Kincaid needs to be drafted as a potential backup to kick off the year, meaning you go get a Cole Kmet, like I mentioned earlier, meaning you even go Darren Waller, and he's your backup tight end, and you approach a trade later. Or you grab an Okonkwo later who's not going that many spots higher than Kincaid. This guy right here is a secret weapon, a fantasy football weapon. But you must deploy patience when you own him or draft him, because he may not do a single thing in week one. We don't know. Maybe he's very used and utilized in week one, but he could be not used at all for the first 2 or 3 weeks of the season. And a lot of impatient Ians are going to come back into the chat in week 4, week 5, when he all of a sudden has that breakout game in week 3 or week 4, and they go, Smitty, I released Kincaid. I couldn't wait, Smitty. With a bunch of excuses. This is Eric with excuses. I didn't think he'd get in there. Smitty, I had to pick up somebody. I had to get a kicker, Smitty. Excuses on top of excuses. These people I don't have a lot of patience for, because I'm telling you up front, like I told everyone to be patient with Kenneth Walker. How many people did we have come in the live stream that said, Smitty, I cut Kenneth Walker. I didn't listen to you. How much fab do I put on him? Well, that was an easy question to answer.
Initiate full load drop.
Don't put yourself in a position where you have to initiate full load droppage of your fab dollars on a player you drafted. Draft this guy and be patient. We don't know when he's going to rise up, but he will rise up, and it could be week 1. I'm drafting him hopeful of week 1, but you got to get a Kmet, an Okonkwo, somebody else to man the storm until this guy rises up like a phoenix and gets you a 10 touchdown season. In the slot position, because the Buffalo Bills are going to use him like he's their number 2 wide receiver. In time, this guy could not have landed in a better spot. I talked about how Kmet's with Fields, that's a great combination. Any top 5-6 quarterback that has a tight end with tremendous talent, that player is going to be a riser. And we have very few situations where that can even happen because there are only 6 quarterbacks in the top 6, right? You only have so many opportunities where a tight end can be strategically placed in a great offense with a great quarterback and have good talent. Kmet and Kincaid, we're in a very special time where 2 of the top 5 quarterbacks have a tight end. In Kincaid's case, drafted. In Kmet's case, lingering on the roster. Very special time where we have 2 potential undervalued players on offenses that are electric with top 5 quarterback monsters. It feels obvious to me. Kincaid and Kmet, Fields and Josh Allen. I don't know why the rest of the fantasy industry doesn't see it the way I see it, but when I go up to the mountaintop and I say to myself, who is going to break out? I see nothing but visions of Kincaid and Cole Kmet when I'm on the mountaintop. Get on board. I won't let you on board later. This train is leaving now. Decide now. I'll take away your Kincaid card later if you don't get on now. Of the Taysom Hill deeper variety, Laporta, who's going to be spoon-fed with Jameson Williams out for the first 6 games of the year. Luke Musgrave, a big-bodied tight end in Green Bay where they need pass catchers. He could develop really quickly. And I like Jordan Love more than most people. Jelani Woods, 6'7" monster catching footballs from another monster quarterback named Anthony Richardson. He could be a red zone target. I think Jelani Woods could take a big step forward, but he's in the 200s, so don't think like this is a guy you're starting. He's a guy you grab and you hold and you wait. Musgrave and Woods are deeper calls. Laporta could borderline start for you. And of the big name guys, I think it's important to talk about big name players when you start talking about breakouts and sleepers, because too many people act like you can't have a breakout or a sleeper inside a higher ranked territory of player. And I think that's garbage. A sleeper is anybody people are sleeping on, whether it's in the 4th round, 2nd round, 8th round. You just define it differently, at least I do. That's how Dad did it, that's how I do it. Meaning early round sleeper, middle round sleeper, late round sleeper, 2nd round sleeper, 3rd round sleeper. You see what I'm doing there? Whatever designation I decide to put on it, I'm going to decide to put on it. It's my show. Darren Waller is a big name sleeper because he's going as tight end number 7 and Ingram is going as tight end number 8. Tight end 7 and 8, top 5 capable. That is called a big name sleeper at the tight end position. Learn about it. Pat Freiermuth, number 10. Lot of upside at number 10. Okonkwo, tons of upside. Pretty well established outside of the top 10. I don't like a lot of Tennessee Titans. I'm not going near anybody but Okonkwo, but I'll take Okonkwo in double-digit tight end ranking ranges all day long. These are kind of your cheat codes to try and maneuver around having to go Travis Kelce or Andrews or Hawkinson early. I've got you covered. And even Kyle Pitts, who's not yet 100% right now walking into the offseason, he could slip a couple spots and then he starts becoming a big-name sleeper, breakout tight end, bounce back, revenge tour candidate. Don't let people tell you sleepers aren't everywhere. They are. Now get on over to thefantasyfootballshow.com to get your year-round content, your bold predictions, your trade calculator, your one-on-one text advice. Now I'll see you later. Get out of here.
This is the Fantasy Football Show with your host, Smitty.